种地吧，种地吧，
加油吧！
怎么这还有啊？
Becoming a Farmer is a surprisingly popular reality TV show.
哇，太帅了吧！
Debuting earlier this year, 10 Gen Z idols were sent to a farm near Hangzhou City to live and farm for the next 190 days. The show is not just entertainment, but also promoting the appeal of rural life. The real message is delivered in the opening minute of the first episode, the grave challenge facing China.
我们希望每一位观众、每一个年轻人都能充分认识到粮食安全的重要性。
Food security is a matter of national importance.
中国人要把饭碗端在自己手里，而且要装自己的粮食。
粮食事关国运民生，粮食安全是国家安全的重要基础。
习近平总书记深刻指出，解决好10几亿人口的吃饭问题，始终是我们党治国理政的头等大事。
With only 7% of the world's arable land, China is tasked with feeding 1/5 of the world's population, producing a record 687 million tons of grain in 2022. China still relies heavily on foreign imports to feed its 1.4 billion people.
Food self-sufficiency ratio really is an economic term that measures to what extent the country depend on imported food.
The United States used to be China's largest agricultural supplier, but as trade tensions between the two countries soured, China actively sought to diversify its food sources. As a result, Brazil is now supplying 20% of Beijing's total imports. However, 3 years after slapping tariffs on each other, China's demand for U.S.'s agricultural products has more than tripled. China is now U.S.'s biggest agricultural importer for the second consecutive year.
In terms of diversifying food supply sources, Xi Jinping in particular has been doubling down on seeking international farm and agricultural cooperation through the Belt and Road Initiative. And in the context of the Belt and Road, it has held more than 100 times of international food cooperation and farm cooperation forums and conferences, as well as all sorts of other international food expo.
But diversifying import sources does not address the core of China's food security concerns.
就是以呢国内稳产保供的确定性来应对外部环境的不确定性。
To preserve its farmlands, which are shrinking due to China's rapid urbanization, the Chinese government has set a red line policy mandating around 300 million acres of arable land to be preserved at all costs. As Xi Jinping puts it, protect farmlands just like protecting pandas.
The way that Xi Jinping tried to strengthen domestic production is through 3 broader categorical strategies. The first one is to protect the farmland. The second one is to improve food and improve production quality as well as the food technology sector. And lastly, to incentivize farmers to do their job and try to boost supporting systems for farmers so that China would not necessarily suffer from a shortage of labor to engage in agricultural production. The labor challenge is not just about the conventional demographic challenge or aging society. It's also related to the disincentivized farmers from their lower income.
In the past decades, more and more young farmers are giving up on farming altogether and migrating to cities in search of better economic opportunities. Why? The Chinese food market is flooded with imported food, which are oftentimes cheaper than those domestically produced. That is, if it can be domestically produced at all.
When I grew up in China, fish or yogurt or dairy product were not part of the main daily consumption. But nowadays, you go to the grocery store, these are the main or daily item. So from that perspective, given China's limited domestic production capacity, it really cannot meet increasingly expensive consumer demand.
As an old Chinese saying goes, 国以民为本，民以食为天. It means, for a nation, people is foundation. For people, food is heaven.
If you look through Chinese history, every dynasty fell because of a major natural disaster triggered food insecurity or major food shortage, and that led to the topple of the regime. So from that perspective, the current Chinese leaders are fully aware of the threat of food insecurity to the regime security.
只有多实践的话，你才能够体会农业的乐趣，也能够学到这个知识，也体会到生活当中的每一粮食来之不易，当倍加这个珍惜。
In the near future, China's food security concern is set to get worse before it gets better, as it continues to battle an aging population, a worsening economy, and supply shock threats due to climate change and geopolitical tensions.